What's your biggest vulnerability?
It was interesting. When I was homeless, I realized I was very lonely. And I realized one of the reasons I was lonely is because I didn't tell the truth, except for in a notebook that nobody ever read. And I deserved to be lonely because nobody ever got the opportunity to know me, because I learned that being alone made me feel safe. Mm-hmm. But I realized when I was homeless that it actually disconnected me, and it separated me and isolated me to the point where I couldn't feel human connection or joy of connection. And I wanted to change that. And so I very purposefully switched my safety strategy from armor to vulnerability. And I started writing very honest songs, very revealing songs, and taking big risks about being very honest about who I was and saying the truth, that I was homeless, that I was shoplifting, that I was having panic attacks, that I was agoraphobic. And that's what my songs were about. And when I got signed, I decided to keep doing that, because I did notice that in fame, people tend to get put on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. And a lot of celebrities promote this image of perfection, of perfect beauty, of perfect happiness. And it isolates the artist, and it's not honest, because none of us are always happy or perfect. And then it also distances you from the viewer. They feel like you're this perfect piece of royalty and they can never be like you, and it creates this gap. And I didn't want that. I didn't want a gap between me and my audience, because I was one of them. And so I tried to constantly take myself off of a pedestal and lead with the truth and lead with my flaws. And I did that my whole career, and it ended up saving me. The vulnerability really isn't, that's where safety is to be vulnerable.
Well, much of what you've written, both in your music and in your poetry, is confessional. What at core are you confessing?
I wanted to document an honest life. When I was a young girl growing up in Alaska, I didn't have access to much television, but I had access to books. And I really appreciated the writers that were honest, that didn't use art as propaganda to make themselves seem more perfect than they were. Right. And so I was drawn to artists like Bukowski and Anais Nin, not because I wanted to be them or live their lifestyles, but because I really appreciated the courage that it took to say their flaws along with their talents. And that made me feel more hopeful as a young child, that maybe there wasn't something wrong with me. Because when you look through those magazines and you see pretty perfect people, you just feel alienated. Mm-hmm. And so I made a promise when I was quite young to write honestly, and to never use my art as propaganda. And I try to stay true to that my whole career.